During this lesson today, I'm going to go through surds. Surds is a topic in GCSEs that students will always find difficult. Well, I'm here to demystify that today and make surds seem, well, quite simple. First of all, we're going to look through the 4 things that we usually go through with surds. First of all, we need to learn how to simplify them. Second of all, we need to learn how to add and subtract surds. Third, we're going to go through multiplication. And finally, we're going to go through, that's 4. We're going to go through rationalizing them, if we have time, obviously. So, let's take something like root 48. So what is a surd really? Root 48, well, that's a surd. A surd is square root of anything. That's just a surd. Square root of 3 is a surd. Okay? So, other examples, before we touch root 48, pause for a second. Other examples, root 3, that's a surd. Root 9, that's a surd. But however, we do know what the square root of 9 is. Well, obviously that's 3. But root 9 is 3 written in surd format. So what does that mean? You can write pretty much almost any number in surd format as well. That just allows you to know that you can play around with surds later. We also know that obviously root 25 is 5. So if they told you to write 5 as a surd format, you simply write it as root 25. Okay, now that's good with those examples. Let's actually move on to the first thing that we can do. I'm going to teach you how to manipulate surds. But first off, we're going to go through some simple simplification. So, when we look at root 48 as a surd, we can take 48 and try and divide it into its factors. What are its factors? Everything that multiplies together to get 48. But what I'm going to always try and do when I'm using the factors, I'm going to try and see if there are any square numbers. What are the square numbers? Well, I've written a couple down there, but I'm going to write some more. Okay, so square numbers. I'm going to just create a section over here at the right side of the page so we can know what square numbers are. Square numbers. Just give me a second. All right, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So first of all, I'm just writing all the numbers down, and then you're going to see the square numbers. Well, the square number for 1 is 1. 1 is not really a square number. You don't need to include that too much. So I'll just put a line to that. The square number for 2 is 4. So 4 is the square number. The square number for 3 is 9. The square number for 4 is 16. The square number of 5 is 25, and so on. Okay? So, what am I going to use when trying to simplify 48? I'm going to see if 4, 9, 16, 25 can go into it. Well, I know because I've done maths for quite a while now, that 4 or 16 goes into 48. For this one, I always encourage students, right? And I'm going to say it right here. Simplify with the largest square number. Simplify with the largest possible square number. So, right. So question 1. Let's simplify root 48. So, let's simplify root 48. So first of all, I'm going to get some color going for us now, just so we can actually brighten up our notes and stop making it look so gloomy. So simplify root 48. Remember, we're going to simplify with the largest possible square number. If we're simplifying with the largest possible square number, I've got to think of what is the largest numbers out of these numbers on the side that is going to go into 48. Well, I know from experience, and you also learn too, 48 is an even number. So I start with 2. Okay, no. Oh, sorry, I start with 4. Nope. I then go to 16. Oh, yeah, 16 goes in there. 25 doesn't go into 48. And then 36 is getting way too big. So I'm going to start with 16, right? So I'm going to simplify with 16, right? Simplify using 16, right? So what does that eventually what does that look like for us, right? So therefore, we know root 48 is going to equal the same thing as 16 times 3. Okay? Well, we're almost there now. Believe it. Okay? So what do we actually need to do next? Well, this is a little rule in Surds, okay? If you have a multiplication of two numbers underneath a surd, okay? And I might even write that down for you, okay? It's a new rule, right? If you have a multiplication sign, that's a times underneath a surd, remember a surd is a square, it's a big square root, right? It means you can actually break it into 2. You can split it. Brilliant. Let's work from there. So if you can use that rule, and we can split that now, we have root 16 times root 3. Well, we're almost done, but yes, time for another little trick that I always say, students. Treat surds like algebra. Right? So important. I'm going to write that to the left here, okay? Another hint, okay? Okay? Treat surds like algebra. What do I mean when I say that? Ooh, put that in a little circle, right? Underneath here, we're going to have, imagine we had x times y. Well, we know from algebra, if we had x times y, we can write it as xy. We all know this. I know you do. Therefore, when we go into this now, we're going to write the next phase as root 16, root 3. We're not done yet, though, because similar to what we did back in the beginning, we know what root 16 is. We know square root of 16 is 4. I know you all know 4 times 4 is 16. Well, that's why we used the largest surd number. Okay? So then this is going to become 4 root 3. Otherwise known as 4 times root 3. And that is how you simplify surds. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you another lesson on the next step. Just comment if you want me to put a lesson on multiplication, or add and subtract, or rationalizing next. Thank you very much.